Hello, it's Scarlet Stitch Studios. I'm here to show you how I make my very simple crochet sweaters. And what I like about this is you can put whatever stitches you do know how to do into it, and the ones that you don't have to worry about it. And you can customize it in a bunch of ways. One simple way I did here was, instead of just doing like panels all one yarn, I switched it up with stripes. I did that because I was using scrap yarn and I did not have enough to do it all in one color. I'm going to do my best to explain what I'm doing when making this sweater and different things you can do when making a sweater like this of your own. I am not going to make it like a formal crochet pattern just because like I myself don't like reading those as much. And I'm going to do that thing where I speak English, just be as straightforward as I can, I hope. So let me know if you find this helpful, and if you make one of these, that would make me very happy. Because, again, I think this is a really beginner-friendly project, and you could do it without sleeves and you have a nice, like, summery top. You could do it with, like, open sleeves and stuff. Like, the possibilities are really endless here. So I'm gonna get into it, you can see how I make it, and then you can decide how you want to make it your own when you make yours. Okay, let's get started by making our front and back panels. For the purpose of this sweater, they are identical, so I usually go ahead and make them a little bit oversized from shoulder to shoulder. We're going to start our chain by doing a slip stitch first, which I'm showing here on screen. And then we are going to move on to chaining that ideal distance from our shoulder to shoulder, or however wide you want your sweater to be. It's completely up to you. So here I have myself making a chain stitch from two different angles. So when we're chaining, we're just wrapping our hook and we're going through the loop that is on our hook already. And we're just repeating that step. It's our foundation stitch. And this is where you get to start the customization process and making sure it's sized exactly to your liking. Here I am switching colors. Like I mentioned before, and you could see when I was wearing this sweater, it's striped. So I have been using a double crochet stitch for this, but again, you can use whichever stitch you're most comfortable with. I use double crochet because it stitches up very fast, and to change, at the end of a row I do half of my stitch and then I switch colors and I start going with that other color, and as I'm crocheting back the other way after turning, I'm just crocheting over those ends so it's one less thing to weave in. Now I've made both of my panels, so we're going to want to work on that little shoulder bit to connect them and create a neck hole. We're just going to be crocheting out of the top of our sweater a small width, and you get to adjust and make it as big or small as you want. I wanted the head hole for this to be larger, so I left it to be smaller on the sides. Alrighty, so now we are going to attach it, and to attach these two panels together, I'm going to be using a single crochet stitch. The single crochet will start on the inside since that's where the orange piece I have starts, and we're just going to put the hook through both pieces and stitch them together with a single crochet stitch. Now that that is taken care of, we can stitch up the sides, leaving room for an armhole. I like big roomy sleeves, so I leave really big armholes. In this case, I already had one of my sleeves made, so I knew exactly where to pin it to, but you can do whatever order you feel most comfortable with, because everything is sort of a reaction. So if you made the sleeve hole and then you made the sleeve after, you just match it to fit. I'm using these clips. They're actually called sewing clips, but they can be used for lots of things, including crochet. I find it so much easier to be using these clips than trying to attempt pins or anything else, or like stitch markers holding stuff together. I really like these clips, and I think you can find them by just searching like sewing clips or wonder clips. They're amazing. Here it is, all clipped up, and as you work, it's really easy to just grab a clip and move on. So just like the shoulder seam, we're just single crocheting the 2 panels together at the side. Alrighty, it's time to make that sleeve that I just mentioned earlier. It is just another rectangle, just a long one. So it's however wide you want it, that's what you chain, keeping in mind that we will be folding it and stitching it together on the side, and then we will be attaching it to our sleeve hole that we just made. So I just chained an amount that felt right, and I did another double crochet because again I like to fast stitch for this. I also tried to use hooks that were a little bit larger than what I would normally go for this weight yarn. This yarn is number 3 yarn and the other yarn I used is number 4. So I used a 6mm hook and a 6.5mm hook respectively for each yarn. That's also going to help with the openness of the stitches in the garment, which here in the South in the summertime is crucial to being able to like wear it for even like a couple minutes versus not at all. Other things that could help wearability in the summertime would be using more natural fibers, like, I don't know, like bamboo or cotton or something like that, but acrylic yarn is what I have access to at the moment, so it's what I used. Alright, let's make some cute little cuffs. I like to do a little ribbed cuff, so to do this rib stitch, we're going to use a back loop only crochet stitch, and that just means that if you make a chain, you go into just the back loop of the chain, seeing as there are 2 little pieces that you can put your hook under normally in a regular stitch. You just put it under that little back one. And then when you get to the end of that row, you're going to turn around and go only into the back loop of those stitches that you see, and you keep doing that. You don't reverse it, it's always back loop only, and it gives you this nice ribbed stitch, which I think are perfect for cuffs. And of course, we're going to use those clips to pin it. I make my cuffs a little bit smaller than the width of my sleeve, keeping in mind that yarn will usually stretch out. And that'll keep it being just a little bit more of a cuff, I guess. So yeah, I stretch it out and then I stitch it together. I also go ahead and stitch up the rest of the sleeve side so that it is good to go. Alrighty, let's attach those sleeves. Of course, we're going to use our clips and we're going to clip them into the sleeve hole. I like to start by lining up the seams so that they just sit nicely. And once we've got it clipped in, we're going to go back to doing that single crochet join all the way around on both sides. Now that we have sleeves on, the last thing I will be adding to this sweater is a collar. And instead of doing a ribbed stitch by making a separate collar and attaching it, I'm going to work it in the round into this with front post, back post crochet. So I double crochet all the way around, and once I've done that, I'm going to begin by doing my back post crochet where I put the hook around the actual stitch instead of going into the top of it. And then for the front to alternate, I go right behind it, I pull yarn through it. If you can see what I'm doing, I'm putting my hook around the double crochet. And it's giving it this texture, which is also ribbed. So here is the other way I get a ribbed texture in my garments. Alrighty, she's all done. Time to weave in ends. So, woo! The most exciting part. Although it is pretty exciting because you know you're just moments away, well, depending on how many ends you have to weave in. This one wasn't too bad for me. I worked in a lot of them as I crocheted, but you know, in theory, moments away from final project, and that's always fun. And here I am sitting in my front yard. Enjoy the sounds of nature. I was melting, it was over 90 degrees, but feeling cute nonetheless. Thanks for watching!